Our meeting, an emergency council meeting this morning. The meeting won't be live streamed, I understand. The public part will be, but not when we go into confidential. Could I invite you to please turn off your phones, and if we need a break, we'll consider the timing of that break. Just reminding our council colleagues about points of order, and we want things to proceed in an orderly fashion, and the chair will decide on any point of order immediately, and then I'll take considered consideration. I'm opening the hui this morning, our council meeting with the karakia, so I ask us all to stand. Tū taua mai I runga, tū taua mai I raro, tū taua mai I roto, tū taua mai I waho, kia tauai te mauri tū, te mauri ora, ki te katoa, haumie, huie, taiki. Thank you. And I understand there is an apology for lateness from Councillor Kumar, and there are no... Oh, he's here, so... Great. Morning, Councillor Kumar. I just said an apology for lateness, but well done, you've made it. Are there any declarations of interest? Yes, Councillor Donaldson has signalled that he certainly does have a conflict of interest around the item in confidential. But he's not here at the moment, so here he is.
We'll pause and wait.
Yeah. Councillor Donaldson, we're up to looking at declarations of interest, and you had signalled to me, but I'll give you time to sit down.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I do have an interest in the first presentation from the Mountain Bike Events Limited team, and I'll sit with them and be happy to answer any questions, but Takanariki will present.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Councillor Donaldson. I sort of can't give that on your behalf. Great you rejoined the meeting. Are there any urgent items not on the agenda today? Councillor McPherson and then Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was very pleased to get a confirmation from the Deputy Chief Executive, Democracy and Leadership, that my direct contents
item?
Coming to it.
You have to state it.
Well, the first thing I wanted to acknowledge that I have had some advance on this issue, but the second related issue is that I'm still getting occasional blockages from some officials, not all, from my private email private emails that I send, and I'd ask that those blockages be removed, and so I have full communication rights with fellow councillors and with officials. Thank you. That to me is a very urgent matter. I've been waiting months for this to be restored, and this to me is a very urgent matter.
Well, it's not an urgent matter. I rule on that. That is a technical issue that many of us get at time to time. Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and you may well regard this as another one of those technical issues, but however I object strongly to the fact that senior management has taken it upon themselves to censor materials that's been sent to councillors.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Point of order, Councillor Donaldson.
I think censorship is a strong accusation to level against staff when they were carrying out requests from other elected members. I wish that comment withdrawn.
I'll uphold that. That is one of our points of order on language. That is a disrespectful remark, and I ask Councillor Bentley please to withdraw and apologise around the word censorship.
Madam Mayor, can I seek assurances from our staff that they will no longer be studying which emails we may receive and may not receive?
Councillor Bentley, I asked you to withdraw and apologise around the word, very tight, around the wording of the use of censorship.
I cannot think of another word that fits the same description, Madam Mayor.
Well, therefore, Councillor Bentley, if you're not prepared to withdraw and apologise, I ask you to leave the meeting. That is the choice. Knowing that choice and the full knowledge of that, are you prepared to withdraw and apologise around the inflammatory use of the word censorship?
Madam Chair, could I just suggest a word, screening, if that's a more suitable word? There is a word, Councillor Bentley. I'm saying if you want to substitute.
Thank you, Mary
Screening.
Becker. Yes, screening is probably a better word than censorship.
Right, so would you withdraw and apologise around...
I'm withdrawing the word censorship and substituting it with screening.
Well, I have concern about that because I don't believe they've screened either. Could you speak to this, please, Chief Executive?
Can I be very clear on this? Staff do not screen or read councillor emails. They do not interfere with the emails that are directed to councillors unless councillors themselves raise to us concerns as to issues within their email system, which is exactly what happened in the issue I believe that you're alluding to, that councillors asked staff to actually intervene on their behalf on what was apparent to them, the councillors, not staff, as to effectively a large volume of emails which were identical from the same source appearing into their email boxes and creating what they believed was a situation where they were not able to adequately access the legitimate email.
Yes, so I absolutely agree. That's not screening. And that was certainly the instruction that I gave to my staff. Please put them in a folder and then I will respond to what was a generic email flood that we all received, and I would consider them when I could get them logged and consider a worthy response. So it was not screening in any word, and I won't accept screening. So Councillor Bentley, do you wish to withdraw and apologise? I will not accept the word screening. They did not screen.
Sorry, Mary Becker, I must have dropped you in it there, but anyway, if you don't like the word censorship or screening, then I withdraw and apologise.
Thank you, Councillor Bentley. Yes, Councillor Maxwell.
May I ask a question regarding urgent items? And it seems to happen at all our meetings coming from certain councillors. We used to have a motto here in Rotorua before, that our motto was full of surprises. Well, for us, it's sort of these arrive on our table and surprise, what's next? I mean, the Maori word also is getting hoha, listening to things being raised, and we find that it'll be turned down and not. Are we allowed to ask that if there are any urgent items and to be handed in writing? I'm not sure what the rule, Una can help me there, so that we can be prepared ourselves to answer some of these. It is hard that it's being put on you to have to answer these each time. And it happens all the time.
I take your point. It's not a point of order at all. I would have ruled on and said, had I not allowed you to speak, as for the same for Councillor Rotorua Tate, I would have ruled that it's not an urgent item. It is not an urgent item. I'm not surprised it came nonetheless. I would have ruled appropriately. And that is when we review standing orders, that those issues we look at, the recidivist attempts to bring in points of order at every meeting that we are dealing with. That's for us all as a body politic to deal with in the review of standing orders. I'm moving on. Right, the resolution...
Point of order, Chair. I object most strongly to the use of the word recidivists, because it means technically a person who is continuously repeats the same crime, ends up back in jail again and again. That is not the case here. This is one of the few mechanisms that we have as outsiders of raising issues.
Councillor
Thank
McPherson, I don't want to inflame the issue. I have made a ruling. This is not an urgent item of business.
I was going to ask you to withdraw the use of the word recidivist. Thank you.
Repeat calls for I will withdraw around the wording of recidivist, but repeat requests for urgent items that are not urgent are something that we'll deal with when we review the standing orders. Now, we've got big issues to move on, and I ask for a mover and a seconder to move into public excluded. And the two items to be considered in public excluded are the Crankworks update and the service delivery contract around electricity prices. Do I have a mover? Councillor Yates, seconded Councillor Wang. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Right, we'll just clear the room, thank you. I call for a mover and a seconder for the motion that Takura Mutu and Ariki Tibble be permitted to remain at this meeting after the public has been excluded because of his knowledge of the Crankworks team. Do I have a mover? Councillor Yates, seconded